There was a time when Derrick Rose wasn't just a player, he was the future of the NBA. Explosive, fearless, unstoppable. From the streets of Chicago to the bright lights of the United Center, Rose carried not just a basketball, but the hopes of an entire city. Born and raised on the south side of Chicago, Derrick Rose grew up surrounded by struggle. Violence, poverty, and constant pressure were part of everyday life, but basketball became his escape. Even in high school, it was clear he was different. His speed was unreal, his vertical was elite, his control in the air looked almost supernatural. By the time he entered the NBA in 2008 as the #1 overall pick, expectations were sky high, and he delivered immediately. He won Rookie of the Year. He transformed the Chicago Bulls. He brought energy back to a franchise that had been searching for identity since the Michael Jordan era. But nothing could prepare the league for what happened in 2011. At just 22 years old, Derrick Rose became the youngest MVP in NBA history. Let that sink in. The youngest ever. He averaged 25 points and nearly 8 assists per game. He attacked the rim without fear. He moved like a blur. Defenders couldn't stay in front of him. Chicago believed again the NBA had a new superstar, and it felt like this was only the beginning. But greatness often comes with a heavy price. In the 2012 playoffs, everything changed. One move, one awkward landing, one moment, and the entire trajectory of his career shifted. A torn ACL. Just like that, the season was over. But it wasn't just a season, it was momentum, it was rhythm, it was invincibility. The player who once moved like lightning suddenly faced the slow, painful process of recovery. And recovery in the NBA is not just physical, it's mental. Fans questioned him. Analysts doubted him. Some even called him fragile. But what people didn't see were the lonely rehab sessions. The frustration, the fear of never being the same again. He returned the next season, but then another injury. And another. Each comeback was followed by another setback. The explosiveness that once defined him began to fade. The confidence wavered. The league moved forward. New stars emerged. And slowly Derrick Rose went from MVP to what happened. But here's what makes his story powerful. He never quit. Even when teams traded him. Even when minutes were reduced. Even when headlines stopped mentioning his name, he kept working. He adjusted his game. He developed a jump shot. He learned to play smarter, not just faster. And then came one of the most emotional moments in NBA history. In 2018, playing for the Minnesota Timberwolves, Derrick Rose scored 50 points. 50. Years after being written off, years after being labeled as finished. As the final buzzer sounded, he sat on the bench, overwhelmed with emotion, tears in his eyes, not because of stats, but because of survival, because he proved, to himself more than anyone, that he still belonged. That night wasn't just about points, it was about redemption. Derrick Rose may not have become the multi-time champion people once predicted. He may not have dominated the decade the way some expected, but his story became something even more meaningful. A story of resilience, a story of pain, pressure, and perseverance. He showed the world that greatness isn't just about how high you rise, it's about how you respond when you fall. Today, Derrick Rose isn't remembered only as the youngest MVP in history. He's remembered as a fighter, as a symbol of what it means to keep going, even when your body betrays you, even when the world doubts you, even when the spotlight fades. Because legends aren't defined by perfection, they're defined by heart. And Derrick Rose? He had one of the biggest hearts the game has ever seen, in a league obsessed with rings and records. Derrick Rose gave us something different. He gave us humanity.